Hello, my name is Paul Brinkhurst from FutureWorks, and this is the first of a series of instructional videos on how to use ReSET. We're going to start off with what to do as site manager when you have a brand new site created. When we create a new site, we establish the skill sets that are going to be available to you. So we will have had a discussion beforehand to decide on what skill sets are applicable for your organization. Once that's done, we will get information from you about a site manager, username, password, contact information, and so forth, and we'll create your site. When it's time for you to log on for the first time, you're going to go to reset.futureworks.ca, and you'll have a username and password which you will use to get into your site. When you log in, you'll land on Find an Employee. This is useful down the road when you have lots of employees and you want to narrow down the search right away. But the first thing you've got to do is set up your programs and set up the accounts for all of your staff. So you're going to go to Manage Programs. Click on Manage Programs, and the program list appears. Right now, of course, you'll have nothing in there. You're going to click on Add a Program. When you click on Add a Program, you're going to enter the program name. So I'm going to call this Engagement Program. For each program, you have to decide what kind of self-assessment mode you want. The standard ESAT assessment involves the learners or the employees answering questions related to each skill. 6 questions, some positive, some negative. You also have the option of them answering only positive questions. And then you have the option of them doing a short assessment. The short assessment just asks them to assess themselves on the skill. No questions related to the skill. Just how do you think you're doing on this particular skill? This long one is normally used for skill assessment programs where you're trying to develop soft skills. This positive one was put in here just recently for engagement programs, because in engagement programs you normally wouldn't ask a negative question. And the short one was also designed to use for engagement programs, and particularly for working employees where they have less time to do a more detailed assessment. This long assessment here and the long assessment with only the positive questions gives you more information, more self-reflection about the skill in question, but it takes more time. So for this case, I'm just going to say I want the short one. As soon as you select that, it's going to identify which skills that are turned on for your site you can put in this program. Clearly, the short one doesn't ask any questions, so you don't have to have the questions defined for the skill. And there may be some skills which have no questions created for them, so they will appear. Note, look, if I switch to the long, some of those skills have disappeared, and that's because they don't have the necessary questions defined for them. So I'm going to select these 4 engagement skills. Next, you have to decide whether you want the supervisors to see previous scores when they do an assessment. So if they are on their second assessment, you want them to see what they scored in the first assessment. Some organizations want this and some don't. It depends whether you want them to assess just on their observations or whether you want them to actually know that last time they scored them a 4.2 and they think they're doing better, so they're going to score them a 4. I'm going to leave that as off. Next, you want to decide whether the employees should be able to enter notes on themselves. This was added for engagement programs in particular, where you actually really want to gather information from the employee about how engaged they're feeling. So we're going to turn it on here. It's not something that is typically used for skill assessment programs. This next one, this is intended as a reminder for when a supervisor has not put any notes in on somebody for a certain amount of time. Right? So if after, let's say I put 7 in here, after 7 days, if somebody doesn't have any a new note, then the system will mark that person on their learner list, and it'll send them an email listing the people who have not been noted on recently. Okay, they'll get 1 email a day if there's anybody to report on. If you leave that at 0, then you've effectively turned it off. Next, we have to identify who are the program managers for this program. Right? Who are the staff who are part of this program? Who are the people on your organization who are going to work with this program? Right now, it's only you, so you're just going to select yourself. And we can ignore the resync at this moment because that really comes into play much later on, after a while, when you've got various staff linked to the program and others not, and you want to just reset everybody to be linked to it. So we're just going to ignore this and save. And there we go. There's your program. Let's add another one. So this is going to be my skills assessment program. This one is where I'm working on developing soft skills for employees. Whoops, there we go. So I want the long standard for that one. And here I'm going to select my skills. I have to have at least 3 and no more than 12. So let's make 4. There we go. Do I want them to see? Let's say I want to this time. No, I don't want them to be able to put notes on themselves. Yes, I do want the program supervisors to be reminded. That's going to be me for the time being, and I save. So now I've got 2. Okay, so that's programs. Next, we have to put in some supervisors or staff. So these are people who are going to be doing the observing and the assessing on the employees that you want to assess. So let's say we have just a few staff for this demonstration. There are several different types of accounts you can create here. You can have another you can have another site manager like yourself if you want to as a backup. Supervisors these are accounts for people who do not have case management responsibilities. So they're not working really closely with an employee to help them either improve their skills or their engagement, but they are part of the team who's going to observe and assess. The case manager, as I said, has much more detailed relationships with individuals related to their skill development and engagement. So they're going to have more conversations. They're going to get into deeper reasons why a behavior is happening or why engagement is low, that kind of thing. The external assessor is a type of supervisor account. This is normally used for somebody outside the organization who has been brought in to do something like coach or mentor or something like that. The difference is that all these other accounts, when they put in observations, they're shared and they can see them all. The external assessor is deliberately limited in what they see. They only see the notes that they put in the system themselves. Okay, so this allows you to have a type of account with quite limited visibility into what's going on with the employee. So all you've got to do to create this is to put in the necessary username, password, full name, and email address. So we're just going to make something up here. I'm going to call us Fred F. And I'm going to put the password. I'm just going to use the same password for everybody here so I don't forget them. I'm going to call him Fred Fender, and I'm going to put in a fake email address right now because I don't need it to be real. And this person's going to be a case manager. I now have to specify which programs are they linked to. Okay, so they don't have to be linked to every program. This is useful if you're in a large organization and you want to try and just have different departments, the staff in one department linked to a program related to their department. So there we go, create the account. Interesting, it says the username is not available in the system. We've got to try a different one. Okay, so I'm just gonna put in an extra letter there. And I'm just gonna make some changes. So you can only use the same username in this system once. Let's try that. There we go. And down here, here's Fred. If I click on the name, then I can edit this information, okay, and then resave if I wish it to take place. So I would now go through this and I would create all my various staff accounts, case manager accounts, site manager accounts, external assessor accounts, supervisor accounts. Once I've got all those, then I'm ready to go. The next step would be to start building employee accounts. And we'll look at that in another video.